Good evening and welcome to Conversations with Crystal. I'm your hostess, Crystal, and this evening I have an absolutely wonderful guest, and her name is Paula McMahon. Hi Paula, how are you today?
I'm absolutely wonderful, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. You know, I'm so pleased when you said that you'd be part of this show because I remember you from a very long time ago out at the Carousel and probably other places as well.
Oh my God, that's going back.
And as a budding guitarist back then, and of course I was already a singer or vocalist, you always took time to talk to me. And I think that shows, you know, that there's an element of humbleness with you, that you want to share your knowledge with others. And I think that that's really fantastic.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say so. I do try. Don't always succeed, but I do try.
Yes. And what really made you shine out for me, Paula, was your style. You know, apart from how kind you are, was your style and how you took command of the stage. You've got a great presence and you play the guitar and sing. And I just looked at you and I thought, wow, this lady has it all together.
Well, that's very nice of you to say so, but it took a long time to get to that stage, I tell you.
Yeah.
You know what it's like in music when you're female,
Yes.
and you get up and you play with men and they make assumptions about you, especially if you're an instrumentalist. Vocalist, fine. You know, you're there, you're in front, your only job is to sing the song.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're there with an instrument, they don't expect you to be able to play it.
That's exactly right.
And I find that very, very frustrating because I've never been sure whether I'm a singer who plays an instrument. I play a few instruments as it happens,
Mm-hmm.
but whether I'm a singer who plays an instrument or an instrumentalist who plays an instrument. And so, you know, what do you do when you get up there? I mean, if you're a guitar player, sometimes you have to lead from the front because, you know, you're up there, you're not only are you a singer and you're conducting the band, because that's what's expected of the vocalist, because you're the focal point of any band that's on stage.
That's right.
So as the vocalist, you're expected to conduct the band. But then when you're an instrumentalist as well, you really do have to exert yourself on the band, especially if you're in an open mic situation.
Yes. And in that situation too, I've found at different points that and I hope I don't get crucified for this, some men, some fellas don't like a woman leading the band or telling them what to do. So
men don't like women telling them what to do, full stop. I mean, come on.
No, they don't. Yeah, I do. But, you know, it's kind of like the shocked look on their faces is like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you know, and I just think, but then I've had other times where I've had people in the open mic situation come up to me afterwards and go, wow, you know what, we don't have singers that lead the band like that and we love it. So it's, you know, 6 of one and half dozen of the other, really.
Yeah, I've had the same thing. I mean, I've had guys, look, don't get me wrong, I love men.
Oh, so do I. So do I.
You know, but I've had people say to me, look, you're really good to play with because you let us know what's going on.
Yes.
And you do it with body language as much as anything else. You don't have to be a harridan
No.
in order to take control. You just have to kind of lead from the front and make them feel confident that you know what you're doing.
Yes. Have you found, Paula, we're talking about working with men. But have you found working with other women a challenge, or is it easier?
Yeah, it depends on the other woman, because you know as well as I do, we are very competitive creatures.
We are.
And you know, I mean, with girls, I know sometimes if I come across a singer who can really sing, you know, I thought, oh my God, I'm in trouble here.
Mm.
And I'm not quite sure what to do. But at least I have my instrument to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, we're competitive creatures, pretty much like men.
Mm.
But I think if let's put it this way, if you're a woman in a band and you're the only woman in the band,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the men in the band that are the problem. It's their wives and girlfriends.
Yes. Yep. Yes, you're right.
Because they think, you know, for some reason they think, oh my God, if I leave them on their own, they're going to be at it, you know.
And the thing is, we're not there for any of that. We're there to play music, and we've got our own fellas anyway.
Exactly.
You know?
And I'm there for the music. I'm not.
Exactly. We're there for the music. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, but it's very interesting, all the dynamics, isn't it?
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. I've had some interesting situations. I think you witnessed one of them, actually. But there we are. That's another story.
Yeah.
Poor old Pedro.
Yeah. Now, Paula, I've known you for a while, and I've seen you around much before that as well. But I really don't know whereabouts you got started, or who or what was your earliest inspiration or influence?
Really good question. I started, my interest in music was just, it was organic. It was sort of there in me. And I joined school choirs and stuff, and I was only 7 or 8 or something like that. And then I got the opportunity to learn to play violin.
Oh.
But it was like a school thing, and we had this itinerant teacher who came round, and you had to put your name down. And I thought, oh gosh, I'd really like to do that, and I put my name down, and I got a violin and started to play. And in the UK, it's slightly different here in Australia, but in the UK there are 8 sections of 8 examinations that you take, and by the time you get to 8, you're kind of at O level or entry uni kind of level, and I did 1 to 5 in the first year.
Oh wow.
I just took to it like a duck to water. I absolutely loved it, and I could read music and all the rest of it. But then I started going to taking classes which were at the boys' school, because we were segregated. There was girls there and boys over there. And I started taking classes which was only available to me at the time in the boys' section. And there was a guy there who was just so dishy. And he played guitar. And I figured that the only way I could get to know him was if I played guitar too. So I got my parents to buy me a guitar. And I approached him with this guitar and got really close. And, could you show me how to play this chord, please?
Oh, you know what? That's the best pickup line ever. It really is.
Oh, the thing, and I got the date. I got a date with him.
Oh, lovely.
And he taught me to play the guitar. But after one day, I ditched him. He was an absolute ditch. Yeah, absolute dipshit. I really couldn't bear him. And I got to know him. And ironically, it has to have been about 25 years later, I ran into him in a music shop. And there he was. He didn't recognize me at first, you know. And I said, oh, hello, do you remember me? How are you?
Yeah.
Oh, he goes, oh, yeah. Oh, didn't we have a date? Yeah. What happened? I didn't see you again. Oh, I moved away.
I love it, love it, love it. So, Paula, from that first moment, so how old do you think you might have been, if you don't mind me asking?
I would have been about 12.
12, that's
12 or
awesome.
13, you know. But I took to guitar, and I didn't realise I could sing.
Right.
Well, because when I auditioned for the school choir, they wouldn't let me go in because I've got this low voice. I'm a contralto.
Right, yes, it's
And
beautiful.
they wouldn't let me join the school choir because, in the words of the choir mistress, I had a voice like a foghorn.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, which I thought was quite rude.
Oh, yeah.
But I really wanted to join the choir, so I thought, well, blow this. I'm just going to turn up to the rehearsals. Anyway, uninvited, so I did.
Good,
And she
good
didn't
on
notice.
you.
She
Good on
didn't
you.
notice, bless her.
Mhm.
And I wound up doing solos.
That's awesome. I love that. I love a woman who knows what she wants and is in control of that.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. So, Paula, were your parents musical at all?
No, my father made a record in the. This doesn't sound funny, but he was stationed in Germany just after the war, and he made a record in the Nazi over in Germany.
Wow.
And I listened to that record, and he used to sing a little bit like Bing Crosby.
Oh, goodness.
And he had got this most beautiful baritone voice, my father, and I used to love cuddling up to him and hearing him sing as I was cuddling him, because you get that beautiful, when you hear a guy with a good voice, talking or singing.
Yes.
And you got your ear up to their chest, and you hear this beautiful rumble that sort of comes from. It's so sexy. I loved it, And my dad
Yes.
used to do that, and he'd sing to me, and
That's beautiful.
yeah, it was lovely. But he wasn't. He'd never performed or anything. But I discovered. This is interesting. I discovered when I was in my early 20s. My mother was orphaned when she was 7.
Oh, poor dear.
And but I didn't discover until in my early 20s that her mother, my grandmother, had been a entertainer in the English music halls in the 1920s, 1930s.
That's very exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, and she showed me a picture of my grandmother. It was the first picture I'd ever seen of my grandmother. It was family issues, it doesn't matter. But when I was 22, and my blood ran cold because it was like looking at a picture of me.
Oh, wow.
And she was this entertainer in the music halls, playing ukulele, banjo, and she was an acrobatic dancer and things like that. So, and I didn't know that until I was 22.
Yeah. So it really runs through your veins.
It's in my heart, it's in my soul, it's in my whole being.
Yeah.
I live for music.
Oh, yes, so do I, honestly. And isn't it wonderful? Isn't it just wonderful?
It's always a good place to run to. It can be incredibly frustrating because sometimes I pick up a guitar and, wow, this girl can really play, and sometimes I pick it up and what the hell do I think I'm doing,
Yeah. Everybody has an off day, Paula.
Of course they do,
Yeah.
And I had this, I met up with Albert Lee, who's one of my guitar heroes, and I wanted him to explain some aspects of his song Country Boy. Brilliant piece of guitar work, which he wrote along with one of the country greats. Can't remember his name at the moment. It doesn't matter. But I said, look, I can play this, but it's this part I can't play. I can't play all of it. And he said, oh, well, some nights it's like that for me too.
Oh.
And, to hear someone that you've admired, for so many years, because I've known about Albert's work since, Heads, Hands and Feet. And to know that someone that you've admired pretty much all your life feels the same way about their playing is very comforting.
It kind of is, isn't it? That's what I thought when you mentioned it. Now, Paula, you're from the UK. Whereabouts in the UK were you from, and how long have you been in Australia?
I was born in Chiswick in West London. That's where I was born, and I didn't leave that kind of district until I was 7. Then we moved out to High Wycombe, and High Wycombe was where I grew up. It's where I got all my musical stuff. I used to go to the folk clubs and stuff there.
Oh, how cool.
And so that was in the mid-1960s. So, and I also used to go into London all the time, to all the folk clubs and stuff around London. And so I was right in the very thick of all the folk revival.
I'm kind of jealous.
So, I mean, all of the people that were at the folk clubs, I used to jam with them. I'd play with them and meet them, talk to them. It's the people like Bert Yance, John Remborn, Doris Henderson, Jackie McShea, Ralph McTell. I met and played with Tom Paxton. I did my first tour, actually, around the folk clubs with Paul Simon. And I was 14.
Oh, wow.
And he sat and taught me some guitar licks and stuff with all my fingerstyle. A lot of my fingerstyle comes from Paul Simon, Tom Paxton, and all those, people around that time. I got to play and jam with Sandy Denny at folk clubs and stuff, because there'd be meetings after the club performances and stuff. We'd all sit around the pub outside and we'd sit and play guitar, and that was when I met all of these people. I knew them all.
What a fabulous time that would have been.
Oh, look, it was that, and it was blues. I met Joanne Kelly. Joanne Kelly turned me on to the blues. She's just a wonderful, wonderful singer and guitar player. And Bonnie Raitt says of Joanne Kelly, I wish I could sing like Joanne Kelly.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
She was amazing.
Bonnie Raitt.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Even someone as great as that, and I admire Bonnie Raitt. She's one of my heroes. To have a hero that was also happened to be one of my early heroes. It's really quite nice. Love it.
So you started, your influence there was folk music, so to speak.
Yep, folk and blues.
Yeah, and then the blues come along, and I happen to know how awesome you are at playing and singing blues.
Oh, that's very kind.
Well, I mean it. It. So you got your start then. It was around 14 years old, was it, in the clubs?
Yeah, that was when I got I did my first paid gig. I was 14.
Oh, wow. Can you remember how much you were paid, just out of interest?
Yeah, I think it was about £5.
£5.
And when you think that at the time, round about then, a week's salary for my father was around about £20.
And you earned £5 in one night.
In one night.
Did you think at that moment, wow, this is something I think I could do forever?
Yes, but there is a fly in the ointment.
Yeah.
Because, for all this music and however much I love music, back then all I wanted to do was to be an actress.
Really?
Really. And at that time, when I was doing all of that, I was a member of the National Youth Theatre. I used to do plays, acting plays. I did tours with the National Youth Theatre around Europe, and things like that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So that's where all the stage thing comes from. The stagecraft, the stage presence, talking to an audience and stuff. That's where that comes from, because it's it's there when I was aspiring to be an actress.
Right. And that's very, very important too, having some stage presence and stage craft, knowing how to talk to people. That's a great skill, I believe.
If I've got it, that's where it comes from.
You do have it, Paula, you do. So
Thank you.
what made you, did you do any acting or film after that, Paula?
No, I did some semi-pro theatre work, but it was very difficult because about that time, sort of 15, 16, I was also at university reading engineering.
Okay.
So I have a degree. I actually have 2 degrees. I have a degree in mechanical engineering and a master's in the same subject. So I'm an engineer.
Awesome. That is
no, it's
awesome.
not. It's just I didn't know what the hell else to do.
Okay, fair enough, but it's still a great achievement.
I'm quite proud of it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't wasn't the first, but I was one of the early females to get a degree in that kind of subject at that kind of level.
And did you find it quite difficult and maybe got a lot of resistance from males or females that were older than you doing the same courses?
Not from the other students, really, because, you know, if you could answer the questions, if you could write the papers, then, you know, really no one really questioned the validity. The professor, when he interviewed me to take me on the course, said, he leaned back in his chair and he said, "What makes you think you could be an engineer?"
Right.
And I leaned forward and said, "Because you think I can't."
Oh, good on you.
And
what a great answer.
well, you know, it seemed to work because he leaned forward and said, "Okay, let's give you a go."
Oh.
Well, not immediately, but you know, that's basically that's the upshot of what happened.
Wow. So when did you first join a band or start your own band, Paula? And what made you do that?
Well, because I wanted to play music with other people because I was in the school orchestra, and you know, playing music with other people and being in plays and stuff with people. I really loved that exchange of ideas and you know, the camaraderie that goes with it all. I really love that, and I really love, you know, the fact that you're there as a unit. You're part of a unit when you're part of a band.
Yeah.
And each individual has to do their part in order for the whole to be great and to be good.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. That's what I aspire to, and that's why when I get on stage, I want everyone on sharing the stage with me. If anyone's going to shine, I want it to be each and every one of us.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Yes.
Because otherwise there's no point.
No, that's right. That's right. It's not all about one person, is it?
No, it isn't.
No.
Unfortunately, not everyone thinks like that.
No, they don't. So doing that, you're in those groups. Did you organise your own band, or was that sometime later, or had you joined another different band?
When I was doing the folk clubs and stuff, I came across another girl who sang really well. She played guitar, but she didn't play all that well. Didn't want to play all that well. She didn't. You know, she saw herself purely as a vocalist, and she played guitar simply because, you know, if she wanted to sing, she had to have the instrument, an instrument there with her. And I spotted her at a folk club and said, you know, would she have any interest in forming a duo? I'd play guitar and she would sing. And she thought that would be a really, really good idea. And in the interim, I ran into a guy who played some terrific guitar and sang well, and he wrote songs.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, how about forming a band with me? And I said, yeah, but I'm already thinking about, teaming up with this girl who sings. And he said, that's great, get her along as well. I've got a bass player, and we can have a little 4-piece. That would be great, 2 guitars, 4 vocals. Of course, the bass player sings as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a band here.
Perfect.
And it was. And Steve wrote, and he was a great lyric writer, but didn't write melodies all that well. I'm much better at writing melodies than I am writing lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And so we worked on writing songs. And the girl, Leslie, she sang them. And she had a voice not unlike the one, here goes me Alzheimer's. Ava Cassidy. She had a voice like Ava Cassidy.
Yes.
Absolutely stunning voice. And she could take any song and absolutely make it her own. And we wrote songs that she sang. And, and we were doing the folk clubs. We were doing the festivals and stuff. We played the Cambridge Folk Festival.
Nice.
Which was a great privilege and honour. And we recorded an album for Leader Trailer Records.
Nice.
And then unfortunately, Leslie had some issues with boyfriends and stuff who were on drugs.
Oh.
And she ended her own life.
Oh,
tragically.
That's very, very sad.
And so she was the focal voice.
Yeah.
She was the voice of the band. And because when she passed away, the record label says, well, that's what
it.
we were really interested in.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it ain't going to work from here on.
Oh, so, that's But
tragic.
Tragic. That is the word for it. And did something else then open a door to something else?
Yeah, I got married.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I got married, and it all sort of kind of fell about. And he wasn't into folk music, and he was a musician, but he wasn't into folk music.
Right.
And I got into rock and roll.
Right.
We played in rock and roll bands all over Europe.
Yeah.
For many years.
That's fantastic. Paula, can you tell me a funny story from one of your gigs?
Which one?
Any from the time you started. There has to be. You would have to have a lot of fond memories or incidences that happened at gigs where you just still have a little giggle about them.
Yeah, but the best ones are actually far more recent.
Oh, cool. Okay.
The best ones are far more recent. I was doing a gig with Chris Turner and some other people. I forget who it was. I think it was Michael Vidal and Lindsay Tebbett from the Choir Boys. And Michael Vidal is one of the best bass players in Australia. So anyway, I was doing this little gig with Chris, and we were packing up, and this guy came up to me, and this very well dressed, very handsome man he was, and he said, "Oh, you seem to know what you're doing," and I said, "Oh, well, I do try, thank you." And we talked about the music, we talked about Chris. And then I said, "Oh, are you a musician? Do you play?" And Chris happened to be stood next to me listening to the conversation. And he interjected and he said, "Paula, you're talking to Don Walker."
Oh.
And I was so embarrassed.
Oh,
So embarrassed. I said, "Oh, don't give me a break. I haven't been in Australia that long. I know your name. I know who you are, but I didn't recognise you. Come on."
and
Give
plus,
me a
you know,
break.
after you've been performing for what, 3 or 4 hours, and you've set up, and now you're packing down, you know, you can be forgiven for that, for sure.
Well, I do hope so. And I have seen Don a couple of times since, and he was very, very, very gentlemanly and said, "Hi, how are you?"
Very nice. I like that.
It was lovely. He is a gentleman and very, well, one of Australia's best and most talented songwriters and
Yeah, absolutely.
musicians. Yeah.
Now, Paula, you mentioned earlier on that we know you play violin and guitar. What other
Mm.
instruments do you play?
I play bass,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it depends on which track you play of my songs, but I'm playing bass on most of them,
Oh, very cool.
and all the guitars. I don't play slide, so I get experts like Chris Turner to play
Cross,
slide for me.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
but I've tried to play slide, and I'm not a natural slide player, so I've tried, and I'm no good at it. So I leave it to the experts. But I also play a bit of mandolin, and I have been known to pluck banjo.
Nice.
Mm.
Love it. Have you ever had cause besides when you're recording to play banjo otherwise?
Only at bluegrass meetings when I'll borrow a banjo and
Mm-hmm.
play, because I play fingerstyle guitar. I don't know whether
Yes.
you've heard me do
Yeah,
that. I
yes.
play fingerstyle guitar, and the the, the fingerstyle patterns that you use cross over to banjo quite easily,
Yes, they do. Yes. Yes.
and
Nice.
so I play that. I just use my regular fingerstyle patterns, and you
Yeah,
know
and it just crosses over quite easily.
it crosses over
Yeah.
quite easily. Yeah, it's just the left hand fingering changes a bit.
Mm. Nice. I like that. Now, talking about recording and writing songs and that, I believe you have a recording company called Big Rock.
No, it's not my recording company. It's
Okay.
Chris Turner
Okay.
and Cletus Carr's recording company, record label,
Mm-hmm.
which was actually started with Chris and Pete Wells from, um, the oh, geez, this Alzheimer's, I tell you, don't get it. It's no good for you.
That's okay.
Rose Tattoo from Rose
Oh, yes,
Tattoo.
yes, yes, yes.
They started the record label, and Chris was kind enough to ask me to do some recording
Oh,
on that
okay.
label.
Okay,
So,
yeah. I knew Chris Turner was involved in that, but I didn't, to my shame, didn't realise that he was the major part of it.
well, it's Big Rock these days is Chris Turner. It's a wonderful, wonderful record label with some
Yes.
fabulous artists on it,
Mm-hmm.
including Django Blackheart, who are having a great deal of success at the moment. They're a
Absolutely, yeah.
fabulous band.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Chris, Django Blackheart, Jim Finn is on it, Cletus Carr is on it, and a myriad of other really, really good artists. And what the hell they're doing with me, I don't know. But anyway, I'm
Now,
there.
don't be like that. Now, so talking about that, I have here one of your tracks called "Watching the Clock." So,
Mm.
would you like to tell us a little bit about that track?
Um, that is a song that I wrote. Um, I don't write many, and it takes me a long time, but that's one that I wrote, and basically, it's about current affairs, really,
Mm-hmm.
and how I think we're all being either led or misled um, by those who are supposed to guide our nation.
Right.
It's a
Yes.
critique of them. That's what it's all about.
Right.
Especially during COVID.
Oy.
Mm.
It's a terrible 5-letter word, that one.
Isn't it? Yes. And don't get me on politics because I get into a lot of trouble.
No, we'll stay clear of that just for now, I think.
It's best. It's best avoided. Yeah.
Yes. So I think what we'll do is that we will listen to Watching the Clock right about now.
Hour after hour, working on this line. This day after day, I'm just wasting my time. Wasting this life just chasing down that dream. Making believe it can't be what it seems. Well, there's too many people who seem to think they own me. Most of them, well, they don't really know me. I'll get laid off, it's just a matter of time. Tick-tock, I'm just watching the clock. Man on the TV got another scandal to reveal. He's got the inside story and everything he says is real. Some secret society fighting revolution. Such a bad situation, there's panic and commotion. But I've got the feeling he's lying like the Dickens. He's the fox in the henhouse, stirring up the chickens, lying politician, trying to make his name. Tick-tock, I'm just watching the clock. Taxman has his hand out for every little thing I do. Everything I try, some new tax is due. Work a little harder to pay those taxes on time. Why don't we find new ways to take your money fine? Just work even harder, do your job even faster. You don't have time for reality or laughter. Life's just like climbing up that greasy pole. Tick-tock, just watching the clock. They claim to tell the truth, but that one's just a lie. The facts don't matter, so they don't even try. Just keep a straight face, tell your lies on Twitter. Then blame it on the people, cause they don't really matter. Well, it's fact and fiction, lies and deception. You're born to be a loser from the moment of conception. Apocalypse is coming, it's just a matter of time. Tick-tock, I'm just watching the clock. Tick-tock, I'm just watching the clock.
Well, Paula, that is a very cool track, I must say. And how long has that been out for?
That was released at the beginning of this year. And I'm working on an album of all my own
Nice.
songs, which I've actually never done because there's always been other people on any recording that I've had out in the past. It's always been songs that have been co-written with other people. And this is all my own songs. I've written melody and lyrics, which is really frustrating because I'm very fussy about lyrics and I'm not very good at it, and it takes me a long time.
Well, you know what? You have accomplished it, and congratulations to you for that. That's another feather in your cap.
If it would make me feel like Hiawatha now, but go on.
I love it. And we have one more track of yours as well, but we won't put it in just yet. That's for a little bit later. So right now, I'd like to know, do you have a current band, or what is your current interest? You're doing an album of your own, so that's one thing that we know. But do you have a current band, or where are you going musically?
No, I don't. I don't have a current band. I sometimes when a gig comes up, and I do get calls saying, "Oh, can you play here or there or sort of wherever?" I'll just call up musicians that I know and I like to work with, and I'll go out with the Paula McMahon band. But I don't have a regular band. It's actually really, really hard to have a regular band these days, because everyone is in 3 or 4 bands.
Yes, oh, tell me about it. And it's trying to organise 5 different people or 4 different people. It's just, crazy making.
4 or 5 different people who are also in 4 or 5
bands,
other bands
exactly,
that don't necessarily coincide.
Yes.
And you can't get, I mean, I gave up. I ran a band called Red Corvette, which just played basic rock and roll, which I loved doing. But I couldn't get the same musicians for more than two gigs on the trot.
Right.
Because everyone was off doing other things, and the quality of the music was of the performances was suffering as a result, and I just sort of thought, well, this, if I can't do it to the very, very best that I can, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah, you know what? I was just thinking that as you were talking about it, that having one lot of musicians for a couple of gigs and then others, it's the gelling must fall apart, which it obviously does. And as you said, it
does, and it did. Yeah. And I thought, I'm not going to be associated with that.
Right.
If I can't get the same band every time, I'd rather not do it.
Yeah, right. Right. And I think now to concentrate on your own songwriting and your own recording, I think that's maybe led you to this point to do this right now, so that you can concentrate on, songwriting and recording.
Yeah. You're absolutely
so maybe
right.
something else will come along later on. Who knows? We can only be open to it. And
well, I'm not saying never. That there are some things which could happen. Because I'm no longer in Sydney, as you know. I'm up here in Maitland. Yes. And there are some absolutely fabulous musicians up here. But again, you've got the same thing. They're all in sort of 4 or 5 different bands. And, all the people that I want to play with, I would like to play with, are all in 4 or 5 different other bands.
That's right.
But it's looking like I might be able to get something together which would be regular musicians.
That would be very exciting.
I'm quite excited.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about that.
How?
But I wouldn't be the main vocalist.
Okay. Does that, just out of interest, does that bother you much if there's, because you're playing and singing, but if there's a vocalist there, would they be only a vocalist or vocalist and singing? And then how do you feel doing backups?
In this instance, they don't play an instrument.
Okay, right.
So that they are a vocalist, but they are a really, really good vocalist. Right. So I really don't have a problem. It's like I said when we first started talking, Crystal, I'm not quite sure whether I'm a guitarist, a musician, a player who sings, or a singer who plays.
Yeah, right. It's a fine line, maybe.
So, yeah, I don't think there is a line in actual fact, but I'm really, really quite happy to be on guitar and just play.
Okay.
Because I get a great deal of pleasure and joy out of doing that. and making music, because for me the whole is far more important than any
Single
individual
person. Yeah,
portions.
yeah. I really like that attitude. I really, really do. And I wish that more people had that attitude. You know.
Doesn't everybody?
No, some don't. But in any case, that's another story.
We aren't going there, are we,
No,
Crystal?
let's not.
No, we're not.
So what is the best live act or show that you've ever seen?
Oh, gosh. You'd like to put a girl on the spot, don't you? Oh, look, I've because of where I come from, I grew up in London. And when I grew up in London, which was the 60s, I've seen so many live acts.
I bet.
I've seen so many. And, you know, how can you, out of, you know, the people that I've seen, I've never seen the Stones live.
Right.
So, you know, but I've seen the Beatles live.
I've been dying to ask you, have you seen them live?
I've seen the Beatles live.
Oh, wow.
I've seen Paul McCartney live. I've seen people like the Everly Brothers, like
wow.
I've met Tom Paxton, I've met and talked with and toured with Paul Simon, Sandy Denny, Fairport Convention, all those people. I've seen all those musicians, all the fabulous stuff.
Oh, yes.
And you know, I've seen Carl Perkins live.
Wow, yeah.
I've seen, you know, people like the Crickets.
Yeah.
Without Buddy Holly. I've seen the Crickets live. The Searchers, the Hollies, you know, bands like that. The blues band. I've seen the blues band live. You know.
So there's
and a lot of Australian bands that I've seen live. Fabulous bands. But I think that the most the three really that had the most effect on me as live performances was Chuck Berry.
Wow, yes.
Jerry Lee Lewis. And the boss, Bruce Springsteen.
Wow. Yep. That's some pretty good artists right there. But I'm just still reeling hearing that you were so close with Paul. I'm sorry. Oh, he's got out of my head. Who? Paul Simon. That's it.
Yeah.
I just can't get over that. How lucky. Oh, and I know you don't view it as lucky, but somebody who hasn't had that chance
I
and
don't,
loves
because,
that music.
You know, he was just there.
Yeah,
he was
just
there at the folk club, and he, and
it was just that scene, wasn't it?
Come to the clubs and open for me, was what he said. And that was before any of the Art Garfunkel thing happened in the UK.
Yeah.
And once it did, of course, I never saw him again.
Yeah, right.
He probably doesn't even know I exist now.
I doubt that. You're pretty memorable,
No,
Paula.
I doubt very much whether he would sort of even remember, that was what happened. I doubt very much. Anyway, it doesn't matter whether he does or whether he doesn't.
No, it's just...
I'm not going to know.
No. Now, are you going to see Paul McCartney's here very shortly? No?
At $700 a ticket, I'm a pensioner. Give me a break.
You know what? We tried to get tickets and we're like, I don't care how much we pay. We're in those first few rows.
Look, I kind of get
couldn't
that.
Get them. I think it was up to you when we managed to get through, like row U. And we're just like, nah, that's too far back. So forget it.
Yeah. I have friends who are going, and like you, they said, I don't care what it costs, I'm going. But I've seen the Beatles live twice, and I've seen Paul McCartney live once. I narrowly avoided meeting him, actually. That's another story, but he owns all of Buddy Holly's music.
Oh, does he
I don't know
truly?
if you
No,
know.
I did not know
Yeah, he
that.
does. He's a big Buddy Holly
Right.
fan, and he owns all of Buddy Holly. He didn't. I don't know what he does now, but he didn't own his own music.
No.
But he owns Buddy Holly's music, and he's a big Buddy Holly fan. And every year in the UK, he used to run a concert, which was on Buddy Holly's birthday.
Mhm.
He wouldn't celebrate, the Buddy Holly, with the day the
tragedy,
music died. The tragedy. He wouldn't acknowledge that, but he'd celebrate Buddy Holly's birthday, and every year he'd have a concert. And I got tickets to go to this concert, and I took my boyfriend at the time, who was actually he was the guitar player in one of the big bands in the UK. Doesn't matter who, but we saw this concert. I got the tickets, and I said, "Come on, we're going." And he said, "Oh, great!" And we saw the concert, and it was Carl Perkins, the Rapiers, the Crickets, Bobby V, and a couple of other people.
Yeah. What a fantastic night that would have been.
Fantastic night. And right at the end of it, there was all the guest artists were on stage, and they were sort of playing like a massed band. And then they said, "Oh, there's a guy backstage who wants to sing a song with the band. Would that be okay?" And they all go, "Yeah." And out comes Paul McCartney.
Oh, you wouldn't say no.
Well, of course you wouldn't. So, Paul McCartney comes out and he does 2 songs, and his voice then was one of the few voices that actually sent shivers down my spine.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely amazing. So I don't think that I would like to go and see Paul McCartney now, because he's lost that voice.
Oh, yes, that's true. Well, he's getting on a little bit, the poor dear.
He is. He's nearly 80, bless him, and he's entitled, And what's he got to prove? I'm sure he's doing it,
Absolutely nothing to prove, that's for sure. He's had such a long career, And I think also your career too has spanned time, and you're still writing and recording. So congratulations to you for that.
More out of grim determination than any remuneration.
Now, Paula, I have one more track here that I would love to play, and it's called Tobacco Road. Would you like to tell us a little bit about how Tobacco Road came about?
I love the track. I love the song. It was written by John D. Loudermilk. And originally it was an acoustic song, but the Nashville Teens in the UK, who I've actually seen live, they recorded this magnificent version of it, which is quite rocky. And I thought, I can actually do something with that song and kind of update it a little bit without changing the arrangement too much. So on that particular track, I'm playing everything.
Oh, wow. I'm very, very impressed. Very impressed.
Don't be. It might not be that good. But, I'm actually playing everything. The drums I program.
Yes, right. I couldn't play drums if you paid me, I don't think.
No, me neither. but I admire drummers, and I've played with some absolute cracking drummers.
Yes.
Really beautiful beautiful
and
beautiful
and
players.
You know who
Jim Finn, Tony Boyd.
Yes. I was just going to say one of the most outstanding for me is Jim Finn.
He's a great player, and he's a great musician.
And he's a great fella as well.
He is. Yeah.
All right, so let's have a listen to
Jim actually is co-producer
on this record.
Yeah, on that record.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah. All right, so let's listen to Tobacco Road.
I was born in a dump. My mama died and my daddy got drunk. Left me here.
Another fantastic piece of music from you, Paula. As I said, I'm very impressed that you've played all the instruments on that track. So
can
good
I
on you.
share something with you? I mean, I don't know if you can put this out on the show if you like, but the guy, one of the lovers of my life, actually is working with John Phillip, who is one of the Nashville Teens.
Mm-hmm.
And when I played him that track and said, "Oh, I've done this," and he said, "Oh, I'm currently working with John Phillip. I'll play it to him." I said, "Don't you dare!"
There's no room for modesty. Somebody wants to play it, you put it out there, girlfriend.
I don't know whether he's actually played it to him or not, but anyway.
All right, Paula, well, I'd like to thank you so very, very much for being on the show today. You're just such a lovely, lovely lady, and so full.
You too.
Thank you. So full of the music and still, writing your own songs, producing them and recording them. That's anything that is something that any young musician can aspire to. And if you had one piece of advice for a new musician or an aspiring guitarist, getting into the business, what would it be?
Never ever give up.
Good. I like that answer. Don't ever give up.
Mm.
I reckon there's a song in that.
I think there probably is. Maybe I'll go away and write it.
I would love to hear it.
So would I. Probably won't happen.
Well, you never know. You never know. All right, Paula, well, we will say good night. And once again, thank you very much. And I hope to catch you around the traps.
I'm sure we will. Give my regards to your lovely husband.
I shall.
Haven't seen him in years.
Well, he's still going strong and he makes my life so much better.
Beautiful.
All right, Paula, thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Crystal. Good night.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye-bye. And that was the fabulous and gorgeous Paula McMahon. You have been listening to Conversations with Crystal. I am your hostess, Crystal. Thank you for joining me again this evening. Next week, we have another fabulous guest for you. So until then, please stay safe, stay happy, stay cool, stay awesome, and most of all, stay tuned to this channel. Good night.